We are live. We are live, man. What's going on, everybody out there in YouTube land? And thanks for coming to this hangout tonight. It should be a good time. I'm hanging out with Joe and I'm hanging out with Tim. And my name is Rob. If you don't know me, Smetlogik, you know that because you're on my channel. So we're just going to hang out tonight. We're going to tell some stories. We're just going to have a good time. Going to be relaxed. We're going to give you some pro tips. We're going to give you GPS coordinates. It's going to be a good time, man. So super chat, if there's a super chat, I think you pay for those. So we'll give you coordinates if you do that. Let me skip into the chat room real quick and see if people can see us and see what's going on. So can you guys tell me in the chat if you can hear me? Somebody type and say, hey, what's up? I need somebody to tell me we're live. And then we'll start doing it. It's live right on. I'm just here for the GPS coordinates. Yeah, I bet you are, Graham. All right, man, let me get back to this guy right here. So let's do some intros. My name's Rob Smetlogik, in case people watch this later. I've been herping, I don't know, for the last, since I was a kid, so about 30 years ago. Grew up in Arkansas, Southern Arkansas, did that for, I don't know, 10 years. Guy named Pat Sixby, good guy, man. Look him up sometime. He's a great guy. He was a guy I hung out with as a kid, and we went out exploring, and the rest is history, as they say. And then Nicholas came along, and you guys know Nicholas. We've been herping together for, what is he, 19? Jeez, man, we've been herping together a long time. So I've been doing this gig for a while, and I dig herping, man. So let's hear from Mr. Joe Farah. Joe, what's your gig, man? How'd you get into this?
How's everybody doing? I see a lot of names I recognize. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for tuning in. How did I get into this? Well, I like to say that my dad used to drag me out hunting and fishing with him all the time. And I used to get bored because I have a short attention span, and I would just start flipping rocks and, you know, catching frogs on the side of the lake where he was fishing and things like that. But it's just a lifelong obsession. I've always been into it, so never stops, never grew out of it.
Right on, man. Tim Warfel, you guys, I just got to tell you right now, the fact that he's doing this is, we had to pay, I don't even, well, whatever, I had to pay him a lot of money for this. But so Tim, you know, give us a little background, man. What's your gig? How did you get into this herping deal? And where's your favorite place to herp? You know, what are you all about, man? Why are you banned from rental company, you know, car rental companies? That's what everybody wants.
Bro, that's a whole nother story. But and like Joe, I've also been herping my entire life. One of my earliest memories is catching a hognose in the New Jersey Pine Barrens where I grew up. And it's been a great way to live. And I think I lost the bug for a couple years in high school when I discovered girls, but other than that, it's been on.
Got it. Did we lose Tim? Are you there?
I'm still
I see
with
his
you.
mouth moving.
You're with me. It stopped right when you. I think it stopped right when he said the girl thing, because I think that Erica came over.
Erica cut him off.
Yeah, like, whoa. What about the girls? So we've all been doing this for a while. I mean, I think is kind of the bottom line, and we were going to keep doing it. So so one of the deals, I don't know how many non-herpers are here, because people throw around that term herper, herping, and I get a lot of questions. People, is it herpes? And you know the jokes that go around. So real quick, like, where does herping come from for the people that don't do this? And I have a lot of friends that ask me on Facebook, you know, what's up, dude? You know, why are you into snakes? What is herping? I don't get it. So herping derives its name from herpetology. Herpetology is the study of reptiles and amphibians. And so somebody came up with it and said, let's just make this field herping or herping. And all that is going out and looking for these things, observing them in the wild. And so that's what herping is for people that don't do it. But there's a lot more to herping than just going out and finding that snake or that frog. And that's one of the things we want to convey tonight for people to people that don't herp. And so one of the things that I want to say is that it's the places I get to go. So the reality of this hobby is I get to go Texas, Arkansas, Arizona. I don't have to, but I get to go see some cool stuff. I get to hang out with some cool people. Just did a trip to Mexico last summer. We'll talk about that. I had some good experiences there. But anyway, there's more to herping than just looking for the reptile or amphibian. So Joe or Tim, what do you got to pipe in on that? Because I can never really I can't explain that to people that don't herp. But give me something, man. Tell me what it is about herping that gets you going. Why do you do it? Not just the snakes and the turtles and all that jazz.
Tim?
You know, for me, it's the whole experience. It's road trips. It's crappy food or great food. hanging out with your best friends for days or weeks at a time. It's the whole thing. It's spending time with your kids if they like to do that. Seeing that sunset over the Pajaritos in southern Arizona, or a crystal clear stream in New England. All of that is part of what I love.
Yep, good points. Joe, what do you think, man?
Yeah, you guys pretty much summed it up. I'm mostly in it for the snakes, but everything else is fun too.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I think that again, for people that herp, that you guys get it. And I was telling these guys before we went live, is that I went to lunch today and I went around the side of the building, stepped in some mud. And if I was herping, and if you're a herper, you get it, man. That's all you do. And I always joke about this. I go, man, it's an excuse to get muddy and eat junk food, but it really is, man. I get to get muddy. I get to get dirty. Nobody cares, man. Nobody cares. And it's just awesome. So it's a lot of side benefits to going looking for snakes and all that stuff. It's a fun time. So one thing I wanted to talk about real quick is spots. So just like anything, like fishing or birding or whatever, let's take fishing, man, right? You find a good spot to fish and you start bragging about it. Man, I caught a fish, bro, man, and so everybody's starting to ask you, where'd you go, man? What's up? Now you tell somebody who tells somebody who tells somebody and all the fish are gone. What do you guys think about the spot thing? Because I get a lot of herpers coming to me, or, newer ones, and they go, dude, where'd you find that snake? Hook me up, man. Tell me where you went. What do you think about that? Is it cool to ask for somebody's spot? And if what's a cool way to ask for a spot?
All right, I got it. So if you're going to pose a question to Tim and I, how about we just do it in order, where Rob, you go first, and then Tim, you go, and then I'll go. So go ahead, Tim. What do you think about spots? People asking for spots.
Well, I'm thinking about rolling out an app, $50 for any spot. You can just plug it right in. Okay. Seriously. It's kind of tough asking for spots because there's trust involved there, and it could be your best friend, but some spots just need to stay on the DL. That's the way it is. I think flipping spots are more sensitive than road cruising spots, but there are ways to gain trust and prove that you're not going to abuse a spot and value the relationship. But spots, it's really on an individual basis. It's kind of a judgment call.
Would agree.
Or not.
What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, right. So I don't think there's a lot of rules when it comes to herping and all that, but if there is one, it's don't ask people for their spots. In fact, on the Field Herp forum, that was actually one of the only rules that they had there, was don't post the location, if you remember that. And like Tim said, it's a trust thing, but really what it comes down to, especially with a flip spot, is that if a lot of people go there on a regular basis, the spot just ends up getting messed up. The cover gets moved a lot. Maybe people collect, although I don't think that really happens all that much, but the more you go to a spot, the productivity just kind of goes down. So, yeah, just find your own spots. We all do it, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, and we're going to get into this real quick, but the herping tips, how do you find snakes? And so I post videos, right? And I take a 5-6 day trip and condense it into 5 minutes. And people look at that and go, man, you're the man. It's like, nah, dude, that took 4,000 miles. A lot of driving, a lot of, looking on Google Earth, yada, yada, to get that 5-minute video, right? So people think it's pretty easy and it's not. But the spot thing's tough because I've had, there was one where we have a spot out east here in Colorado. And I heard about some folks, and this is a kind of a sensitive spot, that they got locked in this spot. And so there was a fence up and they had to bust the fence down and, and then the next guy goes out there and whoever's out there, some guy from, farmer or whatever, goes, man, what's up with the fence, man? Is that you? Who is this? And I'm like, it's not me, dude. But so it's that kind of thing where you tell somebody who tells somebody who tells somebody. And part of the problem with spots, I think, is people want to be cool, right? So somebody's coming to Colorado or somebody's, coming to your home state and they go, man, can you hook me up? And you don't want to look like an idiot, right? So you go, oh yeah, I got the spot, man. Let me hook you up. And then they tell somebody who tells somebody who tells somebody. And I'm not worried about the collection. It's just more that kind of stuff where the spot gets wrecked or, they don't put the cover back or, you got people that are funky people going there. So I agree with you. I think you just, you got to be trusted. You got to earn that trust before you ask for a spot. So that's kind of my gig. I just want to cover that spot thing because I get asked a lot about that. So.
And I don't know about you guys, but I definitely find it a lot more rewarding to find my own spot versus if somebody just gives me something.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, definitely. And I have people give me spots. So it's not like I haven't had experienced herpers tell me where to go. But the deal is I'd rather have them kind of like, we're going to South Texas pretty soon. In fact, I'm going to go see Joe and I'm going to hang out with Tim, which is going to be a fun trip. But I've already talked to a few people that have done it, but I don't go asking for GPS coordinates. I've had a few people say, hey, go on this road or whatever, but it's up to me to kind of figure it out at that point. I really don't want specific spots. Just tell me what I'm looking for down there and I'm good, you know? So, but yeah, South Texas trip's going to be fun, man. I'm digging that.
Yeah.
So we're going to be cool. You can do it, Joe? Like
I can definitely do it. But I just want to point something out. If somebody's traveling from out of state, I mean, I always share my spots here in Houston when somebody comes into town from out of state because they have a very limited time. You know, they're excited about seeing something. They don't have, you know, all the time in the world to work to find their own spots around here. So it's a big deal for them, first of all, because they have a limited amount of time. You don't have to worry about them going back and wrecking the spot over and over because they don't live around here. And it's just a nice thing to do for people who are from out of town. I think Tim said it, you know, herping is like a fraternity. So it's just a nice thing to have a network all over. And when people are traveling, you know, meet up, show them some cool places, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So kind of going along that vein, I'm going to be coming from out of town.
I see Ian on there. Yes, I will take Ian. If you come out to Texas, I will take you to some of my spots.
But I'm coming from out of town.
Yeah, well, that's a given.
All right, good. I just want to make sure, man, that's, you know, because
hey, Rob,
yeah,
can we do a live stream from Texas?
You know, that would be fun. I think we'll see what people say after this live stream's done. Yeah, and and in fact, let us know in the comments, guys, if you want to see more live streams on my channel. Totally cool doing it. I just don't want a laggy video. I don't want to bore you guys. So I'm cool doing live streams out in the field if you want to, you know. So again, the $50 thing, you know, for an extra whatever, we'll put the GPS coordinates on there. So so hey, one of the things that I said we were going to do is give out some herping tips in this video for people that maybe are just starting out. Because I get a lot of people on my channel going, hey man, where do you find this? I don't know how to do this. So I'll start real quick. One of the biggest things that helped us out, Nicholas and I, is we wrote things down when we first started herping. What I mean by that is we just kept a journal. So I'd find something and I'd GPS where we found it. I'd write down the weather. What's the moon doing? Did it rain the week before? Is it gonna rain? What's the wind doing? That kind of stuff. So my tip, one of my biggest tips, is write things down. Look at your notes and you'll start to see a pattern. You'll start to see things and go, wait a minute. Good example is down in southeastern Colorado. I thought I was pegged on where the king snakes were. I said, man, it's this one section of road. And what I found out is they're all along that road. It's not just that one section because I kept notes. So if you're new, keep notes and write down as much detail as you can stomach and start looking at those notes. And I think you'll find some cool stuff. What's a good herping tip, Tim? What's your favorite one? Couple tips. Besides asking for spots, that's not.
A couple of things that the old timers say. I don't know if I'm included in that, but with spring coming, you really want to go out. You want to identify an area that you think is good. And then you want to go out on the second warm day after a front. That was something that I learned early on, and it's been very productive. So you wait for a cold front to move out. You have a warm day. Don't go out yet. Go out the second warm day. If anything inhabits that area in early spring, you're probably going to see it. And stick by water courses as well. That's probably my second tip, is that if you're just learning how to herp and just starting to figure out how to locate stuff in the field, stick close to water courses. They're pretty good.
Good tips. What do you think, Joe? I know you got a couple of them, man.
Yeah, no, what he said is right on. I just ran and grabbed my little journal here. So since I moved to Texas, you know, I got here, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. So I just started writing everything down, and it's been nice. You know, I've been here for 2 years now, and so I can go back and reference, you know, when I found things, where I found things last year, what the conditions were and stuff like that. So it helps because you think you're going to remember everything, but you don't. And what Tim was saying is definitely true. I might add to that another good general place to find herps is where two different types of habitats converge. Because let's say you got forest over here and then a field over here. At that boundary where they meet, you can generally find, you know, the forest species and the species that like fields, you know, right in that narrow band there. So that's another good tip.
Yeah, both those are great. Both of those tips are great tips. And I think one of the things that people don't understand, which is, here's the cool part about herping, is that it takes a lot of time and effort, but it's fun, right? And a good example would be vine snakes. Nicholas and I have looked for vine snakes. Don't even want to go through it, but I know a road down in Arizona. I know every pebble on that road at this point. But, you know, looking for vine snakes got us to see a desert tortoise. It got us to see somebody crossing the border right in front of our car, right? It got us to see the Border Patrol arresting that person. You know, I've seen a lot of stuff down in Arizona because I went looking for vine snakes. But I guess the biggest tip too is you just got to get out and do it. Honestly, I mean, we all pay our dues, man, like big time. And I think people come and think, oh man, you got this down. Somebody gives you a spot and you just deal. And it's not true, man. Another one real quick, West Texas. I mean, I cannot tell you how long it took us. We took 3 trips and hours and hours and hours and hours of shining cuts to find stuff. And I got a good spot from a good friend of mine, but we still had to put the hours in. So the biggest tip I can say is just get out, man. You got to get outside and, you know, rock it out. So there's no shortcuts, I don't think, you know, unless you get a GPS coordinates. So let me take a look at the chat real quick. Can I do that? Is there anything I need to see that's going on? What's going on? So the questions, guys, we may hold on that. Let me see, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we'll get to the questions here in just a second. That's a good point by Ian Technoendo. So let me look at these questions here in a sec. But I want to tell a few stories. Can we do that real quick? Can I tell some stories?
Please do.
All right. I'm going to tell you. So one, let's just tell a few stories, because here's the cool part about herping. So this is where the cool part comes in, is the stories, man. And we don't do it for the stories. It just happens. So Tim and I and a bunch of other dudes went to Mexico this last year. And these guys bugged the heck out of me and said, you got to come to Mexico. It's a great place. And so
it took us 5 years to get them down there.
And there's a reason for that. You'll find out in the story, man. Mexico. Wow, what a trip Mexico is. So anyway, Tim and those guys go, look, we're taking the truck route. We're going on the truck route. So we're down right on the border of Mexico near Nogales. And Nicholas and I said, we're not going to take the truck route. We're going, baby, we're going right through Nogales. So we go right through Nogales. I'm like, yeah, dude, I want to experience this. So I'm going through Nogales, right? I'm like 10 minutes in. And I'm 10 minutes in, and all of a sudden I see dudes in like army garb, and they got AK-47s. And I'm like, wow, Nicholas, what do we do? I don't, you know, I'm looking at Nicholas going, do I wave? What do I do? Do I tip these guys? So this guy's standing there with an AK-47. I'm 10 minutes into Mexico going, damn it, I should have taken the truck route. So I roll up to this guy. I'm looking at him. He's looking at me. I'm looking at him. I'm going really slow. I'm like, dude, I guess I just kind of roll through, and I roll through. He looks at me. I look at him, and I'm like, later, boom. So that was just getting into Mexico. I'm like, this place is, you know, crazy. We meet up with those guys, and they're like, should have taken the truck route. I'm like, yeah, no, we should have taken the truck route. So 10 minutes into Mexico, I'm like going, man, there's dudes with guns down here. This is kind of trippy. But I'll tell one quick story, and then I'll let Tim roll with maybe a Mexico story. But first night out, right, we drive all the way through Mexico. I'm kind of sketching, right? I'm kind of going, man, am I going to be okay down here? Beautiful country, right? So first night out, we end up on this like road that's near the ocean. And Nicholas and I are out cruising. We're looking for all kinds of cool snakes. And he sees a snake, and he whips a U-turn, and he whips a U-turn, and we're not used to the car we're in. And I go, Nicholas, stop. And as soon as I get the stop, Nicholas is going off the side of the road. If you know my channel, and you've seen that we kind of have a problem with cars and wrecking them and stuff. Well, anyway, this thing goes on the side of the road, and the next thing I know, it's up in the air. So we are high centered, and I hear this. I'm going, man, that's not good. And I'm looking over. I'm on the passenger side. He's driving. I look down. I'm like, oh, man, it's like 8 feet down there. And he's like going, oh, man, I think I freaked out the car. So I get out of the car, and I like, boom, and I get down. I'm like, 6, 7 feet down. I'm like, oh, my God, cars like this, right? And we're in the middle of nowhere. There's no cell service. Nicholas jumps out the other side. I'm looking up, and I'm going, the car's like this, right? It's like tilting up. And I'm like, oh, man, we are screwed. So now we're kind of wringing our hands. I'm like, oh, man, we are in Nowheresville. This is our first night out in Mexico, right? So we're waiting. 10 minutes later, I look up the road, and here comes a car like this with headlights, right? I'm like, oh, man, I don't know who this is. And it's a pickup truck. And it's like got 5 guys in the back of the pickup, 5 guys in the front, and they're all drinking, man. They're right doing this thing. And they come out, and they're like, oh, muy mal, it's muy mal. I'm like, I know, it's muy mal, dude. We got this. I need ayuda, necesita help, right? Oh, it's no problema, right? And they're all doing this. And I'm like, oh, dude, we are in big trouble, man. So they start rocking the car, and I'm like, no. I don't want and I want the windows to break out. We're good, right? And they go, oh, it's no problema. You get in. They tell me to get in there, right? I'm like, what? So I step up in the car. It's up like this, right? I'm on an angle. And these guys get in front, 10 dudes drunk, and they start pushing the car. I put it in reverse, right? I get out and I'm like, oh man, I look at the side of the car. It's ripped up. I'm like, man, my first night out in Mexico. And these guys are all celebrating. I'm throwing pesos out to everybody. And so the next thing I know, they're like driving by and then they stop and they look and they go, ooh, muy mal. I go, look, dude, I know it's muy mal. We're done with the muy mal. And they go, no, no, no. And they said something. And Nicholas goes, they say our oil's leaking. And I look underneath the car and I'm like, oh man, there's liquid coming out. So I floor it, right? I'm like, we got to get out of here because we're nowhere near cell phone range, right? So I'm like driving down the road thinking, man, I'm going to get somewhere so that when the oil runs out, at least I'm close to civilization. So I'm flying down this road and they take off. They're drunk, right? And so then I think, oh, we got duct tape. I tell Nicholas, man, get out. We'll stop. We're going to get the duct tape. He gets underneath the car. He looks up underneath there and dude, that's just air conditioning fluid. And I'm like, oh man. So anyway, we meet back up with Tim and those guys and they're looking at the car and they're going, dude, what's the deal with you, man? First night out in Mexico. So that was kind of sketchy, man. That was kind of sketchy, but and I got more stories down there, but man, that was like,
did you find any snakes?
Yeah, we found some kick butt snakes, man. But I was like, whew, sketched out. All the other guys in the group are going, really, dude? First night out? And you've already like trashed your car out? You know, Matt Cage is looking at me like, wow, dude, this is, but I had Mexican insurance. But that Mexican insurance doesn't really, I don't know what it is. It's a piece of paper that says you have insurance, but I think you handle it with cash or something. But I got back to the airport and they didn't say anything, man. So that was pretty cool. But anyway, that's my, that was right out of the gate in Mexico, man. That was kind of trippy. So Nick, tell me what the topes down there. Can you tell people what the topes were? Tim.
Oh, the topes? Oh, it's hard to miss the topes because, you know, you're just cruising along 50 miles an hour. Life is good. And all of a sudden your car is rocketing through space. Your head's hitting the roof of the car. And then you have this gigantic crash when everything hits the pavement. And we had one time where there was actually a pineapple in the car that ricocheted around. I think it wounded all three of us on one tope. But topes are memorable, and sometimes you get the dreaded triple tope, and the car will never be the same again after that.
So a tope, for you guys who don't know what a tope is, it's like a speed bump. But in Mexico, that's how they slow you down in Mexico. So they call them topes, right? And so they have these signs that go tope coming up, and sometimes they don't have a sign that says tope coming up. They're just a tope. And so think of a speed bump and then raise it about, I don't know, 2 feet. And you got it. So you got to go over these things like this. And so these guys tell me, they go, you're going to run into topes and you're going to boom. And I said, I'm not going to do that, dude. And so what'll happen is you're out in the country and some dude is out there and he goes, I think I'm going to build a tope because I don't want you guys coming through my village at 100 miles an hour. So Jose just decides I'm going to build a tope. And his tope is like kind of like a pyramid. And you're flying down the road and you go through this town and you're like, there's no sign because Jose just put it out just to slow you down. And then it's Dukes of Hazzard time, man. You are flying through the air, man. I can't tell you how many times Nicholas would go, toe, and I'd be like, boom. So that car, geez. I don't even know. You guys say that all the time about the rental cars, but man, I just don't. Rental cars never buy one.
Ever.
Yeah, man. Ever buy one. So yeah, the Mexico thing. Yeah, I'll tell another Mexico story. But there's one story I really like. It doesn't matter which one you guys tell. You could do the skunk or you could do the naked guy. But you guys decide. But both those stories are funny.
Joe, you got to do the naked guy.
The naked guy was just a tiny little part of it. So there's no way I can do this story justice because it would take hours to tell. But basically, Ian Breland, Graham Zephyrin, and myself decided to go to very remote southeastern Colorado to try to find the ribbon snakes, which supposedly are extirpated, no longer there. So we had scoped out this canyon on Google Earth that was absolutely in the middle of nowhere. And we ended up rolling up at this place at like midnight, very, very far, like 100 miles from any cell service at least. We ended up on this person's property, went down this little side driveway, went to some abandoned house. We were kind of tooling around a little bit. And Ian found a rat snake, thankfully, because while we were out there taking pictures of it, I look up and I see a pair of headlights coming down the drive towards us. And then behind that, a second pair of headlights. And all I could think to myself was, there's so many people coming to confront us that they can't all fit in one car. So as they roll up, you know, I just have this terrible feeling. And I tell the guys to put their hands up, you know, like put your hands in the air so they can see them, you know. So these two cars pull up. A bunch of people jump out, including this lady who's brandishing a pistol and just starts waving at us. And she's like, "What the bleep are you doing here? You know, who the bleep are you?" Just extremely pissed off, probably drunk, pointing this gun at us. So thankfully, Ian had that snake. We had some pictures of it on our phone. We're like, you know, chill. We're just like out in this area looking for snakes, you know. And after a while, we finally talked her down, but she just wouldn't put the gun down. And for some reason, she kept pointing it at Ian. Not sure why. Didn't like the looks of him for some reason. So she kicked us off her property. We ended up spending the night on some pull-off, like off the main road. Woke up the next morning, tried to go to some other property, this big ranch, and it's real early in the morning. I get out, Ian and Graham are in the car, and I'm walking around. There's all these different buildings on the property, trying to find somebody there to ask permission if we could park there and hike through their property to get to this canyon we were trying to get to. So as I'm walking back to the car, this guy comes out of his house completely naked. Just, I mean, he's in the middle of nowhere, so I guess it's not that big deal. Like, there's no neighbors to see him. But he was just absolutely naked. And he lets his dogs out, you know, they go out to do their business. And he's just standing there, you know, soaking up the sun, totally naked. And he doesn't see us, even though we were like, my car was parked like 20 feet away from him. And so all of a sudden, I say something to him and he freaks out, runs inside, you know, and then puts some clothes on, comes back out. Of course, also denied us access to his land. And then from there, things got even worse, if you can believe it. I almost got heat stroke. I was like in and out of consciousness. We never even got close to the canyon that we had come all the way down there to find. Definitely didn't find any ribbon snakes. And the whole thing was just pretty much a mess. So that's just a very briefed up version of all the fiasco. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what it is with you and naked people, but because you were with us when the guy. And by the way, let me back up on that.
That guy had a Victoria's Secret robe on, I think.
He did, which was weird as hell. That's a whole different story. But Graham was telling me about that story. He was sketching, man. He was like, dude, I can't believe it.
Sketchy. That lady was really, really pissed off.
Yeah, but I saw your video, man, where you guys went in the house at night or something, right? Like you're going down an abandoned, right? Like we've done a billion times.
It was some ranch, you know.
Yeah, that's sketch, dude, to go in some, I don't know why you guys go in abandoned houses, man. That's just not cool.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they're good places to find snakes.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It scares me. Yeah, that Victoria's Secret robe thing was weird. We went looking for green snakes. Short story of that one is that we're on this guy's property. It's really early in the morning, and we're all doing our thing. This dude comes out with a robe on, and that was weird, man. That was just, yeah, what are you guys doing on my property? Looking for green snakes. And you guys probably saw the parody that Dan Baker did. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hold on the story for just 2 seconds. I want to kind of get to some questions real quick, and then we'll come back to the skunk story. Are you good with that, Tim?
I'm always good.
Rye Jones says he doesn't recognize you with the Broncos hat, without the Broncos hat. I agree, man. Isn't that cool?
Hey,
Tim?
Rye, what's happening?
Hey, Rye.
Loopy says, thinks it takes most herpers a while to discover girls. That's a good one, Loopy. That's true. That's true. Kevin, my son, who's not a herper, which he is a herper though, man. He's seen rattlesnakes. Kevin, how you doing, man? I got to get you back out, dude, and doing that. Herpetology 7. Ever considered herping in the Amazon rainforest? Yes. There's a tour that goes down to, Quito that we're trying to get on in 2019. Matt Cage does that. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Yep. Evan, don't ask for spots. You're right, Evan. Snakeaholic asks for similar habitat. Loopy has the best one. Give fake coordinates. We do that, Loopy. That's a smart move. Pet facts, which is Graham. Every herper is my what? I don't know what that says. Oh, don't ask for spots. Yeah, man. Kevin Hutchinson, send to herping dead zones. Man, all these guys are saying give out fake spots. What?
I did that yesterday.
A fake spot?
Yep. Posted a milk snake on Instagram, and somebody said, I'm going to need coordinates ASAP.
You get out.
I found a juvenile delinquent center, like a juvenile detention center downtown in Houston, got the coordinates off of Google Earth and posted those.
That's terrible, man. You guys are mean.
Good man.
Any other questions? Am I missing something? Do you guys see Oh, okay. Let me, herp map. That's a good point. That's a really good point. Ian Techno-Indo said, use herp mapper, export data. He's right. He's right about that. So when you find the data, if you feel comfortable loading it to something called herp mapper, that's a great point. Good place to go too. Last grown up. Glad to see you here, Carly. Good channel, by the way. Last grown up in the woods. If you haven't seen her channel, she is cool. She's up in Canada. She does some cool stuff. She's gonna have a live stream tomorrow night, I hope, right, Carly? So you can see how it goes. Second warm day tend to also work in Eastern and Midwest. Is that true, Tim? So does that work in the
Eastern and Midwest? Absolutely.
It's a rule of thumb.
Yeah, I think really all throughout the continental U.S. it's a solid rule.
Yeah. How about the 3-day rule? Have you heard of that one?
Which one?
I don't know. It's Texas. I think it's Texas or Arizona where it rains and you have to wait 3 days. Is that what it is? Or
I have heard that with Alterna and Tantilla. Yeah.
Right. And then if you're looking for Alterna, which is a gray-banded king snake, if you go on 3 cuts and find diapers with stuff in them, right, you'll find a Alterna. Is that right?
Wow. I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay,
but
pretty sure. Yeah, pretty sure.
Smetlogik special.
Yeah, I think it's diapers or needles or something you have to find.
Yeah.
And walking cuts is funky. Just saying. Any other questions that I'm missing? You guys are, huh? Let me see real quick. Sorry. So if you guys have questions out there, if you want to know what herping's about, if you want to know, Tim, about internet since Amazon, maybe ask Tim. Oh yeah, that's a good one, man. So let's real quick, like just for fun, Tim, give me one of your favorite spots. Because Tim, you've been on almost every continent besides Africa, right?
Yeah, I'm getting close to all the continents.
Give me your favorite. Like for people who don't know Tim, this dude has traveled to some freaky places to find stuff. Favorite place so far, man, that you've herped?
That's tough. Taiwan was surprisingly awesome. You go up in the mountains above Taipei, and the diversity and the quantity of animals was impressive. A lot of venomous, a lot of colubrids, a lot of amphibians, good stuff. Hong Kong was in a similar vein, pretty awesome. You know, you gotta, in the US, you can stick with the favorites because they're awesome for a reason. Everglades, Snake Road, Arizona, SoCal in early spring, and anywhere in East Texas is awesome. Joe knows. But yeah, I mean, all those places are standbys. And who could forget Kansas in May?
Absolutely, Kansas rocks. Taiwan would be cool though, man. And where were you when you saw the cobra? That was India, yeah.
No, we got 2 cobras in Hong Kong and 1 in Taiwan, and apparently they're fairly common in Southeast China where we were.
So the one you found, the cobra you found was right. You get out of where you got a ride, a taxi or something, or you just got out of the plane and you're at a playground or something.
Yeah, that was about 15 minutes off the subway from the airport. But yeah, we went to a playground and it was loaded with crates and green tree vipers. And I hadn't slept in a couple of days, but that made up for all of it. Where was this? That was in northern Hong Kong.
So if you're a kid growing up in northern Hong Kong on the playground, right? You're just taking crates and.
I couldn't believe it. We went to a playground and my buddy said, "Hey, just look around the swing sets and the play areas." I said, "Really? Are you serious?" He goes, "Yeah, just check it out." And it was this beautiful kids playground. It was, you know, somewhat upscale, and it was loaded with venomous herps. I think we saw 20 venomous snakes in an hour there.
That's pretty wild, man. That's yeah, you got to be a tough kid. Let me see. I got a question. How safe is putting spots on Herp Mapper? This is Ethan Johnson, outdoors. You know, I don't know who runs Herp Mapper, Tim. You know, right?
Yeah, Mike and yeah,
I can't think of his name, up in Minnesota.
It's escaping me right now. But, well, Chris Smith is a big part of it too. But
yep.
Yeah, those guys are totally trustworthy for anybody who's got any questions. I have no qualms. I'm pretty guarded about my data, but loading stuff on Herp Mapper is legit. Do not be nervous about it. If you have an ultra sensitive thing that you don't want to put on there, fine. But there's some real value to citizen science and to putting these records out there, because in 50 years when this stuff isn't common, we're going to want to know where it was. So that's my argument for Herp Mapper.
Makes sense. I know Mike, and I trust that for sure. Jordan, those adders Tim found in Europe. He's like, oh man. And I'm assuming that's Jordan Allen. And he's right. Those adders were insane. Next question was, and I don't know who, oh, Kevin Hutchinson. Will stuff be active if it's 30 degrees at night and temps 60 in the day? Where is Kevin? Kevin, where are you, man? Like, what part of the country are you in? And what time of year are you talking about? Because if you're talking about spring and you're talking about Midwest, probably, don't you think, guys?
During the day, sure.
Yeah, 30 at night. It's really not the night temps too much. It's in the day if stuff starts to warm up, right? And, you know, things are coming out of their hibernaculum, you should be good. But where is Kevin from? Do we know? Kevin, where are you from, man? Just let us know and we'll let you know the answer. And Tim will give you the GPS coordinates on the.
Can I take a second to answer Hunter's question here?
Sure, do it. If you see questions, guys, do it.
First of all, what's up, Hunter, and everybody else? I'm actually reading these. It's just hard to address all of them. I don't know about the best memory that we all have together, but I just wanted to say one thing, which is that when I grew up, you know, there was no internet, there was no YouTube, there was no social media. So I had never met another herper, at least not that I could think of, until I moved to Colorado and fell in with Rob and Tim and all those guys. So that was really, really cool. Just meeting up with you guys and knowing that there were other people out there that were just as obsessed with this as me, and going on all those trips together and stuff. That was just really amazing. So I still cherish all those memories.
Yeah, we had some good times. And I think that, you know, it's interesting because I was going to say how I met Joe. Tim and I met, I can't remember what the name of the bar was, but Joe and I met kind of online, right? I was doing my YouTube videos.
Yeah, I think it was YouTube.
Yeah, and I saw your YouTube videos, you saw mine. And that's the weirdest thing about YouTube. I got to say, and I've said this a bunch of times, but, you know, you and I almost felt like we knew each other, right? And then we kind of met up here in Denver at a restaurant. And then, man, the rest was kind of history. We hung out quite a bit and then kind of ran across Tim, and we all started kind of doing trips together. But yeah, YouTube's kind of trippy because I ran into Nick Scoble that way, Dylan, and you just get to know people. You kind of see how they are, and pretty much who they are online is who they are in person. You know, it's pretty awesome little deal. So yeah, I agree with you, man. And again, that's that herping. Not to go back to that, but a big chunk of this herping is the people. Man, met some just kick butt people. I saw Andy O'Connor's Cantil thing on Facebook where he did you see that? Where he did the thing? Did you watch that video? He did a little video on how he found the Cantil, but just hanging out with Andy O'Connor, man, in Mexico. Hanging out with GJ. If you guys haven't met GJ yet, holy mackerel. It's a story in itself. I wonder if he's online. I doubt it. He doesn't like us too much. Let me see if there's any other questions. Any other questions? There's a bunch of questions, man. If you see them, guys, just go ahead and answer them.
Can I do a GJ impression real fast? Would that be okay?
Do it.
We are going to go climb the giant mountain. I think the nachos are around the corner.
So this guy GJ is from the Netherlands, and the way Tim described him is really true. This guy's insane. He'd point at the top of a mountain, and this thing is like, man, like really steep. And we need to go to the top, and he'd start up there and start going, and we'd all be like halfway up going. And what does he do, Tim? He like instructs the Marines or something?
Yeah, he's a Marine Corps. He's the CrossFit instructor for the Dutch Marine Corps.
Jeez.
Yep. So I found that out like halfway through the trip. So he go, you come with me. I show you the spots. And I'd be like, geez, all right, I'll follow this guy. Then somewhere during the trip goes, the trip, Tim said, oh, by the way, this guy trains Marines. I'm like, man, because I'm huffing and puffing. And yeah, GJ was a good guy, man. I got to tell that story real quick, though. It was funny, man. We went that first night when Nicholas did the boop with the car. And he didn't mean to do that. I mean, you know, but I trained him right. We got a hotel. Remember the hotel, Tim? So we get the hotel, and the guy comes out and he goes, and he said, only cinco per room. Cinco. And we're like, yeah, cinco per room. Yeah. Because there's like 14 of us. And how many ended up in that room? Like 9 or 10, or I don't remember, but we all like packed in the room. But GJ had to go over the wall or something to get in. I can't remember what the deal was. This guy's intense. Let me take a quick question. Silence Do Good. Ryan, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining. Silence Do Good got a good channel, by the way. No pun intended, but check his channel out. Silence Do Good. It's good stuff. Rob, when are you coming back out to SoCal? Here the Rosies are calling you none. That's funny because he knows I can't find Rosies or Vines. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate that. Don't know, man, but I'd love to come back out there. Got to go to South Texas first. Hobo Herper, favorite trip you three went on together? It's a good question. I'm gonna let you guys take that one. Or I'll take it if you want.
Thought we had an order. Tim?
Well, favorite trip. What's the favorite trip, Tim?
That the three of us went on?
Yes.
Oh, it's got to be Otero somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I would say that we've done a few down there that that turned out to be good trips. We've done quite a few down there.
How about the one where you tried to ram Joe's car head on?
Oh, that was weird. You're still pissed at me about that, Joe.
I wasn't until just now, but yeah, now I'm pissed again.
Sorry, bro.
So yeah, we went down to Otero. I can't remember what was going on. And oh man, I messed with you so bad that trip. I feel bad. So I rented this weird car that looked like a cop car. I remember that. And you and Baker were on the side of the road. And I came down, you didn't know what kind of car I had. And you're sitting on the side of the road with a box turtle or something. And I come in and I'm like, I'm flying right at you guys. And I could see you guys going, what the frick is this guy doing, man? And yeah, I'm like, hey, how's it going? And the rest of that trip, you were pissed. And then we leave early, right? Remember that? We left early and you didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, geez. And then I followed behind you guys and I acted like a cop. I was putting my lights on. You guys were so pissed. I feel bad about that, man. I really do. But
yeah, sure you do.
now we've had some good times together, man. And I got to say this. Okay, got to say this. Out of all the people I herp with, the one thing I like is people like Joe and Tim because you know they're going to get it on. So I don't know how to say it. Maybe you guys can chime in on this. But when you go on a herp trip, there's people that kind of go, dude, where are the Pillowments? And then there's people like these two guys that if you're looking for something, it's kind of like Andy O'Connor, GJ, Matt, Mike Pinkle. You know what I'm saying? You go get it on. And you know you're going to find what you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I like that about you guys. So anyway.
Well, Rob, I don't know if you remember the trip that we met on, but it was at a gas station on the West Slope. And there was a boulder and Eli's car got totaled.
I do remember that. I totally forgot about that trip. That was a weird trip. So first time out to Grand Junction area and yeah, West Slope. And Eli, what a good guy Eli is, man. I don't think he's on the live stream, but yeah, anyway, we're on this road looking for midget faded rattlesnakes and Eli's in front of me and I'm driving. And the next thing I see is I look up and I see this boulder coming down and Eli's car, he's driving. And I think, were you with him? I don't know who was in the car with him, but
no, Maddie was in the car with him. And
they look up and they go, wow, that's weird. Something's coming down the hill and it's a giant boulder. And I'm watching this thing and it just comes down the hill and I think they think it's going to bounce over the car. And I forgot what had happened, but it smashed right into the side of his car, right?
Yeah, totaled it.
Totaled it. So yeah, we met on that trip. You're right. I'm like, and I remember you going, this is herping in a nutshell right here. And I'm like, I'm in, man. I'm in. So, when does someone go? When does someone go? I don't get that.
Let's take that one.
Let's go it. Do it.
Ned Rose, how have you guys seen herp populations faring compared to when you started herping?
Ooh, good one, man. Good question. Tim, take that.
For me, I've been doing this a long time, 3 decades or more. In the city, they've definitely suffered, but out in the wild, I think that I'm seeing the same numbers that I've always seen. I think my herping style has evolved throughout the years where I just see more herps in general, but yeah, I think in rural areas, we still have healthy populations, in urban areas, not so much.
What do you think, Joe? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I would echo the same thing. I haven't really seen big decline. I'm trying to think of a place where, a certain species existed a while back that I can't find it there anymore, but I'm having trouble. So I guess that's good. But over time, inevitably, as the urban sprawl just continues to grow and grow. It's bound to happen.
Yeah, one of the things I've seen, and I can't verify this isn't empirical data, but it almost is that the vine snake population seems to be kind of almost non-existent at this point. You know, I'm just saying.
Actually, I think they're alive and well. I mean, really, any fence post in Central America has a healthy population, but
yep. So let me tell you that story real quick, and I got to get a couple questions. But yeah, so we go to Mexico. Matt and Tim go, dude, you want to see a vine snake? I'm like, yeah. They go, okay, just got to go 10 hours deep into Mexico, have guns pointed at you, and you'll find one. So every morning, Nicholas and I went out. Every morning, they said, dude, just look on the fence lines, this road, you got it. Every morning, like hours and hours. How many did we find? How many did we find? 0 is how many we found. So let me get to a couple questions. Jeremy Collinson, when is someone going to find a Baja rat in California? It's a good question, Jeremy. When is that, Tim?
we don't know if that original record is legit, but it could be because they're found on the other side of the border. But the one spot in Cali where you can find them is so sketchy. A good friend of mine goes down there fairly regularly, and he says that Border Patrol has told him that he would be unwise to go there without weapons, without firearms. So will we find one? Yeah, I think it's certainly possible. Do you need to have an arsenal? Sounds like.
All right, there you go, Jeremy. Just go packing, dude, and you got this. CJ Baker wants to know, what do you guys think of the Herping memes page? He's talking about Instagram. I personally like it because you featured one of my memes on there, man. But it's funny. I like it. So if you guys haven't checked it out on Instagram, I don't know the name of it, but Herping memes. It's pretty funny. I mean, it's, you know, if you're bored. And Ian, and we're talking about Techno Indo. Yeah, man. For 2018, what's an old target you haven't found and you want to continue chasing, and a new target you haven't looked for yet? I'm not going to talk about that. Everybody knows my deal. So Tim, what's something you want an old target you just can't find? That's a bad question for Tim, but what's something you want to find this year, Tim? And then go for it, Joe.
For me, Louisiana pine snake. It's an ass kicker. It's given me trouble a few times in the past. It's probably the rarest vertebrate in North America. There's only a few snakes in North America that I haven't photographed in the wild, but there's been a lot of years and a lot of effort that's gone into that. As far as a new target, probably Crotalus pusillus in southern Mexico. That's a pretty sweet little rattlesnake that I have not had the pleasure yet, but this may be the year for that.
And that's in the safe part of Mexico, right?
Michoacan, which is probably one of the least safe parts of Mexico, but we go anyway.
Yes, we do. We do, because we know people down there.
We do.
How about you, Joe? What's up for 2018? I'm assuming it kind of be a mud snake or something.
Yeah, let's just skip that one. Going after the pygmy rattlesnake. Yep. And also, I've never seen a scarlet snake in the wild, and those range into East Texas. So I'm going to give that a shot. Hopefully with some of my friends, Andrew, Steven, and Danny. Right, shout out to the boys.
Yep. I'm going to go down. I'm going down to South Texas next week. So my target is a mud snake. I'm just kidding, Joe. I'm looking for indigos, racers, cat-eyed snake. Not sure I'm going to deal with the vines this year. I might, if I can go with Lou B. Lou B. You guys know Lou? Have you seen Lou's channel, by the way? Check it out. I think it's Lou B747. This guy's pretty cool in terms of going to Asia. He's a pilot. He's cool, man. And we're supposed to hang out in Kansas, Lou. When's this year's biggest herp meetup? So I think he's kind of talking about like Snake Road when we all went to Snake Road. Don't know, man. South Texas next week. I don't know if there is one. Is there a big one, Tim, this year that everybody's going to?
Yeah, we're trying to put something together. We don't have it solid yet, but we are talking about a big eastern diamondback hunt in the fall, possibly, or a big Sally trip. But I will certainly keep everybody updated as soon as we put together all the details.
Sounds good. Nicholas says Tim has some good Mexico stories. He does, and I might let you tell a few of those because those will make your hair stand up. How many meth labs have you guys found? CJ Baker, herping memes. I found a meth lady right down in southern Arkansas. Nicholas and I found a meth situation in Florida once. We were hiking and found a little shanty. I found needles all over the place. I'm going to put up a video on that. Joe and I found needles out in Otero County. Remember that, Joe?
No.
Remember the trucker guy remember the truck?
Oh, yeah. Man,
yeah, he was.
That guy that was screaming at you?
Oh, man, that was freaky. So we think he was methed out. We were on a road down in southeast Colorado, and this dude's in a truck, and he's coming. I remember you just going, dude, you got to go. And I'm like, what's your problem, Joe? And this guy's like freaking out. But he was right there with all the needles. Remember, Nicholas was real little, and he got out, and you're like, don't touch that, Nicholas. There's needles on this. Yeah. So that's my experience with meth. Have you guys run into drug stuff before or out there?
I think you really have the corner on that market, brother. But, yeah, I seem to gravitate more towards the firearms situations, but I think the drugs are more in your corner.
Good. I'll take that. I know how to deal with that. Outdoors is down in Florida, I believe. Is that correct? I think so. But he's seen any of you come to Everglades National Park this year? I love that place, man. Joe, you've never been, right?
I've been to South Florida a couple times, but never Everglades.
Anybody going there this year? Any of you guys? Tim?
I don't have anything dialed in this year, but I usually go about every other year. So you can't go wrong there. That's a winner.
Definitely, man. I love the Everglades, man. We had a good time. Found a couple of pythons down there last time we were there. And there used to be a thing down in the Everglades where you'd go to Flamingo and you'd slam the door. I don't know if you ever did that, Tim.
Yep.
But it was, you slam the door and Bob the Croc would come up. I don't know if you remember. Bob the Croc died in the last freeze a couple of years ago or something. Yeah, he was like 13 feet, man. He was pretty cool. But yeah, you slam the fish door and this croc would, and then you take the fish heads and yeah, you could feed him or whatever. But CJ Rose wants to know best cruising speed. I'll let you guys take that.
Depends on what you're looking for. Milks, 55. Everything else, 50.
No. Slower.
Oh, yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Tim,
are you in a rental car or is it your car
Always.
in your brakes?
Oh yeah, those aren't my brakes I'm burning.
All right.
Yeah, that's a good point. I used to cruise kind of slow. The way it works when you're cruising, you know how it goes, man. You're cruising, you're doing 50, you're not seeing anything, you see something and you go, dang it. So you slow down to like 30. You don't see anything for 2 hours. You start speeding up to 55, 60, and then yeah. We've been cruising with Tim when he's doing 60. And yeah, I've seen him like step on the brakes. And you find a lot of stuff that way though, Tim. Here's a theory on that. The theory on going faster is you're covering more ground. So it depends on how skilled you are. Let's put it that way. Does that make sense? So if you got Nicholas in the car, you can spot anything. You can go 55, 60. Virginia Herps wants to know any good herping in Southeast Utah.
Oh, yeah. Ask Rye.
Yeah, Southeast Utah has some awesome stuff. It's tough. Stuff is pretty thin there, but what is there is pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. They have Gilas there.
Oh, that's Southwest.
Oh.
But yeah, Southeast has concolor and Hopies and Cow Kings and some other sweet stuff like that.
Yep, Rye Jones. Tim, any plans on Coe Park survey near the Utah border? Want to get with you guys again. Rye Jones, man.
Yo, Rye, we'd love to hook up again, man. Last time was a blast. We were going to do one in June this year, and then we put it off, so it'll probably be next year, but I'd love to see you again, so let's put it together.
Yeah, I hear good things about Rye. I'd love to kind of meet and hang out with you, dude. So you and Tim get together. We'll figure this thing out. Hey, The Wild Report. Another good channel, by the way. Check him out. Really good Wild Report on YouTube. Like his stuff. Ben. In July, traveling to northwest Wyoming, wants to find prairie rattlers, tigers, gopher snakes. Any tips on when and where and how? Tigers, I'm assuming you're talking about tiger salamanders. Northwest Wyoming. That's a Tim deal.
Yeah, I can just give you a real rough tip. There are prairie rattlers and bull snakes and various other snakes near Gardner, which is on the north side of the park. Any of the warm months, that area should be good. Stay by the water.
So there you go. Yeah, Wyoming's a little trippy out there in northwest Wyoming. But yeah, definitely. So when you say when and where and how, I would say probably in the summer is a good time to go cruising at night. Tigers are going to be tough in the summer. But, you know, afternoons for gopher, snakes, that kind of thing. But cruising at night. CJ Baker wants to know if there's any boas in southern Arizona. There is, more towards California, right, Tim?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So, cover to snake hunters, which trip are you each looking forward to this year? I'll let you take that first, Tim.
You know, that's tough because we've got a lot of good ones coming up. I'm still trying to kidnap Rob to New Mexico on Memorial Day. That'll be a winner. But we've got Baja, and then I'm going to be doing some herping in the former Soviet Union in June. So that's a 3-weeker. That's going to be a big one. So look for the pictures, guys.
Soviet Union, man, former Soviet Union. So you're talking, where are you talking?
Ukraine,
Yep.
Armenia, the Caucasus, Georgia, those areas.
Jeez, man, that's some tough herping, I'm assuming.
We're going to find out.
Snakeaholic, any stories about breaking or not breaking Herper's curse? Not sure what he means there. Do you guys know what he's talking about?
Nope.
Nope. Tim?
I don't think we've ever had a curse.
We don't have a curse.
I got a mud snake curse.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Oh, I see, man. Yeah, the Herper's curse. Yeah, I see. I think that's what you're saying. Maybe explain that. I guess that's what you're saying. I'm not sure, but
he might be asking about a white whale.
Gosh, don't talk to Joe or I about that. I don't know, man. Where do you find mud snakes, right? Kevin Hutchinson's asking wire for Sally's. Where do you go for Sally's? I think he's in Kentucky, I think.
In Kentucky?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, man. Hit up any of your little seeps or streams and flip some rocks. You'll get into some Sally's, without a doubt.
Sounds good. Andy O'Connor. Andy, how you doing, buddy? Andy, if you haven't checked out the video, if you're a friend with him on Facebook, he had a cool video about that canteal. That canteal story was really cool. So canteal, for non-herpers, is a water moccasin, Mexican version of a water moccasin, cottonmouth, and kind of rare, hard to find. So you find them in, you know, the regular water moccasins down where Joe is in Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas. But we went looking for one, and Andy found it. We were on some private land. That was a cool story. Good guy. So he said, should spend more time shooting video or composing photos. Seems vids more appreciated by common viewer. What do you think about that? I think that's should spend more time shooting video or, oh, I see. Should we spend more time shooting video or composing photos? Vids are more appreciated. Yeah, vids are tough, man, though. Takes a lot of time to edit. But I loved your video, Andy. I really did, man. You kind of gave a good, Andy gave that description of that down in Sonora, Tim, where we went for that canteal. And in his description, he said, you know, when you go to the grocery store and they just miss the vegetables, he said, that's what it smells like all the time in Sonora, which is true, right? I mean, that was pretty cool. But I think that's what you're asking, Andy, if I missed that. You guys see any more questions?
Herper's Guide. Herper's Guide. I see you, man.
Oh, right on. Cool, Phil. Ooh, closest you've been to being arrested, CJ Baker. Well, if you didn't see the photo, I got arrested in Mexico, so that's the closest I came. Have you guys ever been close to getting arrested on herping?
Sean Vaught and I got detained by Border Patrol for about half an hour in South Texas, and I thought the cuffs were coming. We were just being ornery. But we found a lot of snakes that night, so, you know, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I heard about that. You were kind of hassling those guys, though. So,
well, you know, we kind of went on a little libertarian kick, and they didn't really like that. But good times. Matt Cage was with us. You know,
that helps.
It helps every time.
How about you, Joe? Anything close? You haven't really been with the cops too much. Right?
Oh, I've been stopped by the cops many times, but never, you know, under threat of going to jail or anything. Just always, what are you doing?
I do remember one where all of us, we were out east in eastern Colorado, and we were up on the railroad tracks, and I'm talking like way out east where the mud turtles are. And and we all went up on the railroad tracks. You don't remember that, Joe? And the guy comes along.
I remember it.
Yeah. So the dude comes along in the cart and he goes, "Hey guys, you know this is a felony. You can't be on these tracks. You can't be near these tracks." And Nicholas and I are like, "Okay, we got it," because we were hanging with Joe. And Joe goes, "What are you talking about? What's up? You want some of this?" And we're like, "Joe, yeah, you did, dude. You were giving that guy an attitude." And I'm like, and so he goes, "Look, I can charge you with a felony." And I don't remember why, but you were just like giving this guy a hard time. I'm like, "Joe, we're going to go to jail." And he goes, "Dude, you need to get out right now." And I don't know what was up with that. We finally left, but
that's not how I remember it at all.
Persico.
Yeah, I remember that. We did a video and that's not how I remember that. Well, I remember you hassled the dude. I can have Nicholas verify it. Nicholas, if you're in the chat, man, just back me up on that one. I just remember going, I almost had to pull you away. I'm like, "Dude, do not fight with the federal employee from the railroad, man. We don't want to go to Mad Max D31. Anyone had any luck seeing reticulate collared in Texas or Mexico?"
We'll tell you in 7 days.
Well, that's true, man. That's a good point.
We're going to be down there.
That's a great point. Graham, what's up? Graham wants to know what is going on with Copark. What's going on with Copark, man? What's going on?
Got the big meeting coming up May 5th. I think it's May 5th.
Pueblo,
Better
yeah.
come. We better see you there, Graham.
So what's going on with Copark? A lot's going on. Evan's wanting to know best places to cruise, like parks or something. It depends on where you are, Evan. If you are, right? Anybody want to handle that one? I'm going to let you guys handle that one. Tim?
What was the question?
What are the best places to cruise, like parks or something? Like he's going, where do I cruise? How do I find
It really
stuff?
depends on what part of the country he's in. It's really, if you're in the West, cruising along rivers can be really good. If you're in the East, it's much harder. Cruising in the East is a different animal.
Yeah, really, that's a good point. It really, each time we go cruising somewhere, we kind of got to figure out the area. So if you're in Arizona, it depends on what time of year. It depends on how hot it is. So really, Evan, it depends on where you are. And it depends on if cruising works where you are. Arizona, it works really well. Texas, it works well. But I've cruised in some states where cruising doesn't work. Illinois, for some reason. I don't know why you guys suck out there at cruising, I think. But so wherever you are, just pipe that in the chat room. We'll figure that out. Hobo Herper, ever found any abnormal details with reptiles? Albinos, hypos, melanistic. If you guys, Jeff Lem seems to find all that stuff for some reason. I haven't found anything.
Jeff does find all that stuff. We did find an amel blackneck garter in Sonora, a big one, about a 3-footer. And we found an albino ringneck in Kansas one year. But I can't really think of too many others.
Anything weird, Joe, or no?
No, not really.
Yeah, I never find that stuff. I always want to, man, but I never do. Big Apple Herper wants to know, Tim, any good stories, or Joe, actually, growing up in New York? Anything that you guys want to share from back east? That
I don't know. I used to just kind of herp around my house. I was lucky to live with a state forest right behind my house there, so I could just walk out my backyard and just disappear into the woods. Nothing too crazy. Lots of amphibians and stuff. There's a lot of cool amphibians there, but no, it wasn't really until I got to Colorado that, started going crazy with you guys.
And Tim, you New Jersey, I remember, I don't know, you showed a picture of some sort of bullet holes in a rental car or something from Jersey, or?
Yeah, that did happen. That's the reason I can't rent from Enterprise anymore. But as a kid, I was, all the kids were terrified of the Jersey Devil. All the adults kind of perpetuated that story. And if you stayed, out too far past dark in the woods, you weren't going to come back. So we were always encouraged to stay close to the house. I didn't ever, but they really tried to, to solidify that myth. Best find I had in Jersey growing up was I flipped over a doghouse and I found a big yellow eastern hog. And it hooded up like a cobra. I was little. I was like 5. And it hooded up like a cobra. And then I poked it with a stick and it rolled over and played dead. And I was hooked. And I've never stopped ever since.
That's a cool story, man. That devil thing's real out there? That whatever they call those things?
All the adults perpetuate that. It's a big deal. The Jersey Devil, if you backtalk your parents or stay out in the woods or something, it'll take you away.
Smart move by the parents, man.
Yeah, I think it was.
Techno Window, Ian, tell us about South Texas, man. I don't know. I haven't been there, but I will definitely tell you. What do you think about speckled racers and cat-eyed snakes? I'd love to see a cat-eyed. Speckled racers look cool as heck. I'm going to find both of those because Tim told me we would. Mm-hmm. Have you guys ever seen leafcutter ants in the U.S.? I have not.
Hey, look, man. I'm going to have to cut you off here for a second.
Cut me off?
Yeah, cut you off. If you're going to read every single one of these, I think they're coming in faster than you can get through them all. So we're going to be here till like midnight, which is fine. But I'm just saying. I do get up at like 5:30 for work, and it's 9-something my time. So.
No, we're good, man. We'll take a few more, and we can nail this thing down. Yeah. I appreciate that input too, man. Because we said 8 o'clock, so we'll take a few more, right? Maybe tell one story and we're out. Is that cool? Because we got like, it says 500 people watching. I mean, if you want to disappoint them, Joe, that's your call. Oh, somebody said drink coffee tomorrow.
I will. I do.
All right. Maria says, hi. Herper's curse. You can't find a species forever, but when you do, they're everywhere. That's very true. Herper's curse. I got it. Yeah. So he was saying, hey, that was Snakeaholic saying that. So tips on how to get better video footage and making videos. Do you put together screenplays or just go with it? That kind of thing. I see what you're saying. Music, dude. This is Graham, Pet Facts. Music's number one. Once I get the music, I go, okay, I get the clips. I'm like, yeah, it starts to flow, if that makes sense. So if I feel good about the music, then I take those clips and I start putting it together, but it takes a long time. So for making better videos, it takes time, just like herping, man. So don't rush it. Put something out there that you feel like you like to put out there. So maybe a couple more questions. Anything else? We got a few more. Dang, dude, you guys didn't tell me. John Sixby. That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. This is somebody from Arkansas. Who was your first snake hunting buddy? John, it's good to see you, man. Pat Sixby was my first snake hunting buddy. First snakes. Let me see anything else here. What are the most seasonal species of snakes? That's a tough question. I want to get a couple more stories and then we're out of here, Joe. I promise we are. No, come on, dude. One more story. So I got to hear real quick, Tim. I got to hear. I just pick one of the stories down in Mexico real quick with the guns. I don't care which one, but those things are so insane. Could be the one with you and Eric. Just give me.
I'm going to tell the one that happened when you and I were down there.
That's a good one.
Because we were driving on this great blacktop road through the jungle, and there were two of us running parallels, going back and forth, and we were finding cool stuff. We found a big Sinaloan coral, Mexican West Coast coral. We got a beaded lizard. We got a few other things. And we're driving on this dark road, and we saw a car stopped in the middle of the road up ahead, and we thought, oh, okay, sure, it's the other car, and they found something awesome. So we were driving up to them kind of slow, and we saw a snake in the road on the way up. And I was with good guys, Pat and Armin, Louisiana, shout out guys. And Armin goes, snake, 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 and stood on the brakes. I was in the back seat. I actually flew half into the front seat. And we all jumped out, and it was a little night snake, but they're pretty cool down there. So we picked it up, and we were looking at it, and we saw 3 figures walking towards us from the other car, and we thought it was the other guys coming to look at what we found, but it turned out to be 3 narcos with pistols, and they were blocking the road waiting for us. And they started talking to me in Spanish, and my Spanish is terrible. I mean, I know enough to get in trouble, and that's it. And they started talking to me, and I wasn't sure what they were saying, but I thought they wanted me to let the snake go. So I leaned over and I put the night snake on the pavement, and it crawled into the grass, and I looked at him like, okay, maybe that's not what they wanted. But they were jabbering at us, and they were asking, what are we doing here? Why are we here? You don't belong here. And after a few minutes of that, I said, oh, no problema, we'll vamados, we'll get out of here. And we talked our way out of it. But for the Louisiana boys, that was an unusual occurrence. For me and Sonora, that's kind of par for the course. But Yeah, we always have some kind of run-in down there, but if you can show an interest in biology, the narcos will usually leave you alone, or at least just mess with you a little bit before they send you on your way. But I love Mexico. I'm not going to stop going anytime soon.
And I remember, Tim, we had WhatsApp, so we were communicating on WhatsApp, and Nicholas and I are and a bunch of other people on a different road. And we look in WhatsApp, and Tim goes, cartel encounter. And I'm like, cartel encounter? That's not good. Everybody had guns. I'm like, wow, okay, I think we're going to wrap it up tonight. I got to say, I've never seen so many guns than I saw down in Mexico. And I mean, in terms of dudes with masks on. In fact, this right here, let me show you. This is what everybody looks like in Mexico. So look at my screen. Look at my icon down there, right there. That's what everybody looks like in Mexico. The cops, the people in the grocery stores. So you don't, no, seriously, man, that's a trip. Mexico was a trip. That was a fun deal. So, we'll do one last question. It's from Andy O'Connor. He wants to know what are our targets this year? We kind of answered that, but number one target for each of us this year. I'll start. I'm going to go with the racer, man, speckle racer for me. No, I'm going to back up. Cat-eyed snake, going cat-eyed. What do you got, Tim?
I'm not going to say my number one target for the year because I don't want to jinx it, but you'll definitely see a picture if we get it. But my second target would be probably Vipera dinici in the Caucasus Mountains.
Right on. What do you got, Joe? Number one target.
I'm going for that pygmy rattlesnake around here. They're tough, but got a good group of boys, so we're going to do it.
You'll get it, man. You'll get it. Well, I hate to cut this short, but I guess what I need to know in the comments. So you guys let me know if you like the live stream. We'll do more of this kind of stuff down the road. I can do stuff out in the field. But again, I don't want it to be boring for you guys, like people that don't herp, people that herp. It's just hard to get that mixture, and everybody can't be happy kind of a thing. But let us know in the comments, man. Was this a cool thing? Did you dig it? Sorry we couldn't get to every single question, but we're more than willing to do this again if you guys are up for it. It's for the viewers basically, and it's just fun to get together with you guys too, Tim and Joe. It's going to be a good trip next week. I'm looking forward to that. So if you haven't subbed to my channel, sub, because I'm going to have some good video from that. Any closing comments, Tim and Joe?
Joe, go ahead, bro.
All right. Sorry, I didn't want to cut this thing short. I was just mostly giving you a hard time about it. So, I mean, we can hang out for a bit. It's all good.
No, we gotta. I mean, it's like 8:15. I haven't eaten, dude. All right. Yeah.
I just want to say I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And I always love chatting herps. So you're all welcome to hit me up, however you want to do that. And yeah.
Cool, man.
Happy herping, everybody. 2018.
Yep. Stick around after I end the broadcast, guys, for 2 seconds. Tim, anything?
Yeah, just awesome to see you guys. We hang out when we can, but we might have to do some more of this. For anybody who's interested, we're going to do a big herp party on the Colorado-Kansas border, middle of September. We're going to find a lot of snakes. Rob knows the area.
I know the area.
And if you guys are interested, anybody who wants to come, everybody's invited.
Sounds like a plan, man. So, hey, I really want to say thanks to everybody who tuned in, and just give us some feedback, man. Let me know how the thing went. Were we lagging? Was it cool? Did you have a good time? I know you ate up about an hour and a half of everybody's time, but thanks. I appreciate it. I'm going to end the broadcast, and Tim and Joe, stay with me for a few seconds.
All right.
Appreciate
thanks, Bob. Thanks,
Yep.
man. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks, guys. You bet.
See you guys.